This is Bruce Friedman of Adult Site Broker, and welcome to Adult Site Broker Talk, where each week we interview one of the movers and shakers of the adult industry, and we give you a tip on buying and selling websites. This week we'll be speaking with Rob Bast of Corepay. We've added an events section on our website. There you can find out about all the B2B events in our industry, and there are discounts on selected shows. Go to adultsitebroker.com to find out more. Speaking of events, I'll be at the XBiz LA show January 13th through the 16th, and I'm looking forward to seeing everyone there and talking some business. Contact me on our website to book a meeting at adultsitebroker.com. To register for the show, go to xbizla.com. And I'm proud to announce I've been nominated for Community Figure of the Year at the XBiz Executive Awards as part of XBiz Honors January 15th. It should be an exciting night, and I hope to see you there. Now time for our property of the week that's for sale at Adult Site Broker. We're proud to offer the largest escort site in South Africa. It's the largest in terms of traffic and listings. The site is 14 years old and has grown in revenue every year. They're more than 50% larger than their closest competitor, with over 500,000 visits monthly. It's a very stable business with consistent clientele and is the largest adult brand in South Africa. It has a full management system, an operations team, and a call center. The site requires almost no owner management. The owner hasn't been personally involved in the business for 7 years. They have a very competent team that manages the company daily. The business generates a very high profit margin of over 70%. They have about 4,500 escort listings a month. All the traffic is either direct or organic. The products have been well priced, a bit on the conservative side, so there are opportunities for price increases, boosting revenue without affecting the business. The escorts have nowhere else to go. There's also a great opportunity to build a fan section on the site, as well as expand the classified section to generate additional revenue. It's an amazing business to invest in, requiring very little owner input due to the established business model and procedures. Only $3.75 million. Now time for this week's interview. My guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk is Rob Bast of Corepay. Rob, thanks for being with us on Adult Site Broker Talk.
Hey, Bruce, thanks for the invite. Looking forward to it.
Hey, it's nice to finally have you. Rob has an MBA, an executive MBA, and was a Welch scholar. He's won numerous awards. Rob has solidified his expertise in navigating the high-risk payment landscape with tours of duty at some major payment platforms. He's brought growth to all of the companies he's worked at. Rob has been in the merchant services industry for close to 20 years. He got into the industry because his mentor, the late Jack Welch, recommended that he work for a Fortune 100 company to get the experience. Before joining American Express, he had run startup companies on the East and West Coasts. After American Express, Gary Jackson at CCBill recruited him to run their sales team. This was his first exposure to adult, and he's never been the same since. After almost 5 years running CCBill, he was recruited by Humboldt Merchant Services to be vice president of sales. After nearly 5 years there, he joined Corepay as chief sales officer. At Corepay, their team specializes in providing comprehensive payment service solutions, catering to a wide range of risk profiles across the U.S., the UK, and the EU. His role as chief sales officer hinges on pioneering merchant services and leveraging their proprietary payment gateway, NetValve, to ensure secure and efficient online transactions. His focus is on optimizing recurring payments and fostering robust financial ecosystems. For almost a decade, Corepay has specialized as a full-service payment service provider in the high-risk payment processing space, offering e-commerce merchants credit card processing and alternative payment solutions tailored to their business's needs. How'd you like your commercial, Rob?
Man, I'm going to have to hire you. Do you do LinkedIn also? There you go.
I do parties. I do everything. So,
Fantastic.
Rob, besides what I mentioned, tell me a bit about your background.
Well, obviously, I didn't just get into the payment space, right away, as you indicated. Grew up a Navy brat, graduated a college with the aspirations to play professional hockey. That didn't happen. I played minor league hockey and kept the dream going for a while, about 10 years as a goalie. But, it was time to kind of be a big boy and grow up. And that's when I went ahead and, started with some startup companies on the East Coast. And then I had the opportunity to come out to Arizona and work with some startup companies in the San Francisco Bay Area. And I went ahead and did that in the tech area. And like you said, Jack Welch was a mentor of mine. And he asked me, Rob, you've never done a Fortune 500 or, even a 100. He's like, do it. And with his graspy Boston/New York accent, he said, do it, then get the hell out. So I went ahead and joined American Express and kind of ran their Canadian and OptBlue program for, about 2 years. And then, as you indicated, Gary, Jackson recruited me and brought me over to the dark side, and I've loved it ever since. It's been incredible.
Yeah, we're a nice group once you get to know us.
Yeah, absolutely. Very embraced and welcomed by far.
Indeed. We'll talk about that later. You've been both in mainstream payments and high risk. Which do you like better and why?
Oh, great question, Bruce.
I know, I asked it.
I probably have worked for the most conservative company in the world, American Express. I mean, their computers were so locked down that if a merchant gave you a website to look at and it was like a gentleman's club, your computer wouldn't work. Obviously, it was a great opportunity to understand credit cards, merchant services, assist the growth of merchants. But I have to say, there's nothing like working in the high risk verticals. Both CC Bill and EC Suite, they're really focused on 5967 or what we call adult, and also 7273, what we call dating. And that's really the bread and butter that, they kind of focused on. So that gave me a great opportunity to just really focus on the two big opportunities. And then when I went over to Humboldt Merchant Services, they have a little bit more of a high risk vertical that they were good at. So obviously adult dating, but they also did other things like CBD, Nutra, and gadgets. So it gave me, again, another opportunity to learn a little bit more high risk outside of the adult and dating. And, another fun fact, that I had was, CC Bill was a global, but it was like a pay fax. And, we may or may not go into that later on, where Humboldt Merchant Services was just a merchant account. In Corepay, I get the best of everything because, they work in the low, the mid, and the high risk globally. So I get everything that I want with Corepay. So to answer your question, I mean, that's what I like. The variety that, Corepay offers. We in essence can assist really any legal merchant. Obviously, we're experts in, both adult and dating, but we're also very solid with all the other verticals globally. So it really keeps you fresh on your toes.
Yeah. It sounds like CC Bill, Humboldt, and now Corepay really became an extension of your education in payments.
I think so. I think that's a great way to put it. I mean, I had some incredible people to learn from, at CC Bill. I mean, Gary Jackson, as we all know and love, he was an OG. He really taught me a couple things. One, not to just look at a merchant and the website and stuff like that, but really how to engage and interact with our industry. I mean, so once you knew Gary and once you were trusted, then they embraced you. And, that was fantastic. And then, Humboldt Merchant Services, Adam McDonald was, more or less like an OG also. So that gave me a great, opportunity to, kind of re-emphasize what I, did at CCBill and now with Humboldt. And then Jonathan Core, he's been in the industry, close to 20 years and has been incredible. So it's been, fantastic.
That's great. When you first started dealing with people in the adult industry, what was your take on us as a group, and how did you look at us before? So kind of give me the comparison, because I know you're a pretty conservative family man. Okay, so I look at someone like you. My first thought is they would come in with some preconceptions.
I remember during my interview with Gary Jackson. And Gary was just hammering me. Maybe he thought the same thing. He's like, can you handle this? This is different than American Express. So, I came in with basically just open, embracing the challenge and seeing what would happen. And like I said, what really, was a 180 for me, or whichever way you want to say it, was how the industry embraced me. Everyone in our industry is so, ready to just reach out. I'm the, name drop, like Brad Mitchell. Brad would just first time at a conference, I don't know anyone. I see this guy in a funky looking shirt and he comes up and says, "Hey, I'm Brad. How are you?" And, he's a great guy to know and network and introduce you to people. But the industry is incredible. And the ironic thing is the mainstream is really opposite of that. You go to conferences and everyone's snooty and won't take the time to talk with you. So this is why I really love this industry.
Yeah, people come into this industry, and even if they leave, they come back because it gets in your blood. And I always like to say it's a family. Yeah, once you join the family, you're in the family.
Absolutely, 100%. And it's funny you say that because we all experienced COVID, and that was the weirdest situation because we travel a lot, as you know, with the different conferences, and not to have travel for 18 months or so, that was weird. And yes, we had the ability to do the Zoom conferences and catch up with people. But there's nothing like seeing the people in person and just catching up because like you said, it's like seeing your cousins and uncles that you haven't seen in a while. So it's really truly a family.
I had the same experience, man. I really felt a sense of loss that I couldn't see people in going to the shows. It was just like so strange. And then when we had the first show, it was like, wow, this is great. Of course, I caught COVID at the first show, but there you go.
Of course you did, Bruce. Come on.
Yeah. That was the only time I had COVID.
Really. But also, what I would say is our industry, regardless if you're a tech person, a cam model, a first-time website, developer, one of the OGs, we're professional. Everyone is a professional. I know people outside the industry think, we're probably running around naked and, doing anything and everything. No, we're really, we are true professionals. I think it's a great group to work with. Like I said, I can't emphasize enough. Love being around them. So happy to help their businesses grow globally. And again, I think the stereotypes outside of the world are really unfairly labeled. And the bottom line, people in the adult space are no different from any other business person, entrepreneur, tech person, or salesperson. They just do something that some people may consider is okay, and some people look at and frown. But they're business people, bottom line.
Oh, yeah. And I wouldn't say we're all professionals. There are some who aren't too professional, but no, we all are working. Okay. So in that sense, we're all professionals. And I've worked in mainstream. I was in radio for 25 years, and the people in this industry are much nicer than the people in radio. Just like you talked about, you used to go to these meetings and conferences, like at the end of the year, Christmas time, they'd have a big party, and people were kind of standoffish, for the most part. And in adult, it's hugs and kisses. So that's how that's how I got COVID. So anyway, what is Corepay and how is it different from its competitors?
Well, Corepay was founded a little over 7 years ago as a full service bespoke payment processing solution. Originally it was tailored for hard to board, card present, and also card not present merchants. The cool thing with Corepay is our management team brings over 50 years of experience in the payment industry. Most of that is in the high risk verticals. So we know, again, adult and dating. The nice thing about Corepay, again, is we have a deep understanding of, the industry trends. We're committed on staying informed about, potential new challenges and regulations that, elevated risk, things that really can impact the bottom line merchant. We consider ourselves almost like a boutique shop. We pride ourselves being accessible, so people actually get our cell number and can text us and call us versus some of the other shops out there that it's going to go to a voice box or it might go to an AI tool that good luck.
Yeah, exactly.
We really do take pride in ensuring we provide the service that, our merchants really deserve. We also provide in-house underwriting. We effectively manage risk. We try to proactively prevent fraud. And we try to ensure transaction security because that's, what everyone wants. And another cool factor about us that's really a little bit different than our competitors, in late 2023, we launched our full stack gateway. And you kind of hit that at the very beginning, a NetValve. And this establishes Corepay as a unique value add-on service in a very competitive market. And like I said, there's not many merchant services providers or ISOs that actually own their own technology. Some of them will say they own them, but it's really just white labeled. And the cool thing too is since it's fairly fresh, we have a lot of new technology that other ones don't because, maybe they built it 25 years ago and it's like, why the hell change it? It's working fine. Another cool factor is we're a global company. Our team's high-risk payment processing experience, it expands over 3 offices in the United States. We're based in Florida, though we do have people all across the United States. We're based also in London and also Dubai. So that's kind of cool.
They're pretty adult-friendly there.
And then one of the things that, Jonathan Cole really believes is staying on a forefront of evolving the payment technology. He's great on that. And then also Corepay, we serve companies across the United States, EU, UK, and Canada. And ultimately, we try to be like a one-stop shop for payment solutions. And also, I forgot to say, in addition to our gateway, NetValve, we also offer our chargeback management tool, CB Alert. So again, we really can help you out with anything and everything on a one-stop shop.
So they don't have to go to an external chargeback service.
No, we should be able to help them out. And the cool thing is, as you know, I love our competitors in our space, especially the ones that work in the 5967. We're friendly competitors, and I always say that you've heard me speak on XBiz and different panels and stuff like that. We're always trying to help. So hypothetically, if shop number 1 can't help you, maybe shop number 2 can. And the cool thing about that is these guys are going to say, hey, call Rob, or maybe I'll say, hey, call so and such, and maybe they can help you. Or better yet, as you know, sometimes you need the redundancy. So maybe you are working with maybe you are working with the CC Bill or a Humboldt Merchant Services, but you need that redundancy because the last thing you want to do is get that email or call saying we're shutting you down and you're going the oh shit moment. Now, if you have redundancy, it's really going to help you out. So, but yeah, that's kind of, in a nutshell, that's what Corepay is. And I think that's what's really the differences between us and everyone else out in the space that can do, low, medium, and high risk.
Now, that's great. And I always tell people have redundancy, because if you lose your payments, you're out of business. And I'll tell you a story. I had a client who owned a campsite, and because of this gal that lied and said that he had C-scam on his site, he got banned by his processor. His processor kicked him out. And I had to list this site without processing, which wasn't easy. But he got processing back somewhere in the process, but obviously he was harmed greatly, and it affected the price. But God, don't get in that situation. And I've known many other people, in my position as a broker, I hear everything. And I have a lot of people come to me and they show me financials, and I go, well, what happened in August? Oh, we lost our processing. It happens all the time. And then the other thing is, another little piece of advice, which I'm sure you'll agree with, make sure you're using an adult-friendly processor. Is it going to cost more money? Yes, the discount rate's going to be higher, but it's well worth it. Don't try to get by with a mainstream solution, because guess what? It's only a matter of when, not a matter of if they're going to ban you. And when they ban you, you're out of business.
100%. And, you hit it right on. I don't know how many times in my career that the phone will ring or the email and the sales teams will say, hey, we got someone from Stripe that just got shut down, or,
Stripe's a
or
classic
something
one.
like that.
Yeah.
Right. Well, because a lot of times, and this is where, for all the listeners, if you are a web designer or a tech person, or if you are currently processing or getting ready to, don't go to Stripe to save a couple basis points, because sooner or later they will shut you down, because Stripe is not adult friendly. And then you get the people that, hey, I'm up and running for a month or 2 months, and then Stripe will do their audit. They will do their, quarterly audits, and you'll get kicked out. And then the problem is, let's say that you built up your business and you're killing it. These customers will not wait for you. They're going to go somewhere else that's, providing, processing the right way. Or the bastard is, maybe you get put on match because you lied, and now you're out of business and you will never be able to process again. You're done.
Tell people what Match is, because some people wouldn't know. I do, but yeah.
Match is the naughty list that you get put on for Visa and MasterCard. And if you're put on that, it basically not only copies your legal name and your social security or, your findings, but it also will do your EIN number. And you can never get back into business unless you fight it. And that is a tough fight. And then, you're dead. It's a death sentence just because you thought you were smarter. And guess what? That's why risk and compliance, uses all the bells and whistles and tools. They're always one step ahead.
Yes. And some people, you're using Patreon now. That's pretty common with the AI sites. And they actually have a no adult policy. So I've seen some people lose their processing on Patreon too. So, I've got a consulting company too, and I talk to people and I say, don't use those mainstream processors. You will get kicked off. It's gonna happen. So
no, 100%. And the only other thing I'll say to the listeners is, whoever you choose. I mean, yeah, obviously, selfishly, I'd love for you guys to call Corepay and blow up, our emails and hotlines and everything. But whoever you choose, tell the truth. Tell them what exactly you do. And don't think, well, I'm just going to go ahead and make the website compliant today. And then as soon as risk gives me the A-OK, I'm going to change everything. Again, you will get caught, because we have to monitor your websites, and we use all these different tools. And we're going to catch it. And once we get it caught, it's going to be like you're out of business.
Yeah, you have to, because your business is at risk.
Oh, yes. I mean, the last thing we want to do is not, have Visa and MasterCard say you no longer can process. And then, we're now on the death penalty. So we definitely don't want to do that.
Exactly. Corepay is obviously adult friendly. Are there other verticals you specialize in? You alluded to some. And which ones do you avoid?
Great question again. And this is great for the time. I mean, 2024 is, I'm going to go ahead and start there. Which ones do we try to avoid? Nutra and gadgets. The reason being is there's so much fraud that you find in those. Okay. Don't get me wrong. There are some good ones out there. And if they're clean, great. Okay. But there's a lot of ones out there that basically do it as fast as they can and then shut the sites down. And it's a nightmare.
Give me an idea of what do you mean by gadgets?
You remember the radar detectors?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, those are gadgets. They'll sell the electronic gadgets for $59.99 and some other stuff that you and I wouldn't spend $10 on. But, they're using that. And then what you do find out is a lot of these then will go ahead and be reverted over to like sweepstakes and illegal gambling and other aspects. So it just goes down a rabbit's hole that, a lot of the card brands don't like, and we stay out of it. I mean, I know in 2024 and 2023, the Nutrient gadgets have been getting hammered left and right. And, if you go to like these affiliate shows, you're basically seeing rats on the ship. They're trying to find somewhere to go because they've done it for 20 years. They made a lot of money, and it's just harder and harder to go ahead and do that. So with that said, we more or less stay away from that. But, a fantastic Nutra, big, blue box, the blue pill, and it's actually that, yeah, we would definitely consider a name brand. But for these carbon copies, no, I'm not too excited about that.
I get it. It's okay. No dick pills. Okay, there you go.
Adult and dating, obviously, as you hit on, is something that we, are really good with. The bottom line, Bruce, if it's a business that is basically a legal business and supported by Visa and MasterCard, at Corepay, we can do it. So if you're a pizza shop, we can help you out. If you're a gentleman's club, we can help you out. If you're an e-commerce that might sell, let's say, encyclopedias, something very mainstream, yeah, we can definitely do that for you. Up to, telehealth, telemedicine, CBD, firearms, anything that's really, you need the experience because of the high risk, we can definitely help that out. And, with that said, we tend to be very, I should say more selective than some other shops out there, because we do really believe in building, and this is a key word, long-term relationships. I don't want, and you may have heard this terminology, thin mids. They basically come and go. 3 months, they burn them. And, we're not looking for these quick wins that are basically going to get on Visa and MasterCard's radar. And, we want to go ahead and build partnerships and, help merchants on the long journey ahead. That's our biggest goal.
Big time. Does Corepay only accept adult merchants of a certain size or in particular niches?
No. I mean, obviously in regards to operating in legal adult oriented businesses. So obviously they're going to have to be Visa and MasterCard compliant, and our risk team's going to look at that and make sure, the usual suspects, no rape, no force, no blood, that type of deal. Yeah. None of the stuff that, some people say, no, I can do that. No, you're a freaking idiot.
No kids, no animals, none of that.
Yeah. Exactly. Adult AI models are obviously a huge trend. I spoke at that at XBiz in January. But to be brutally honest, and in my opinion, has not changed since I spoke in January earlier, very few are truly compliant. And that's the real challenge. I mean, in theory, Visa and MasterCard for the adult AI, they have to be like closed loop. And unfortunately, these merchants are being and will be more scrutinized in coming months because it's something that the card brands don't quite understand today. And let's face it, the last thing you want to do is do an AI, have something fake, have a celebrity's, face on something. And then could you see the lawsuit that could come out of that? I mean, it could destroy, our industry. But again, I mean, Corepay provides direct merchant accounts. But again, in our experience, we don't have the size, but we're going to ask the questions. The questions are going to be like, what do you have in, how long have you been in business? Let's say that, it's brand new. Okay, great. What do you have in place to kind of protect yourself? Like customer service and stuff like that. And if they get to the point, they're like, well, that's a great question. I never thought about it. We're willing to then go ahead and say, you know what? I don't think you're ready for a direct merchant account, because the direct merchant account, you're responsible for everything. You have the alphabet soup. What I would then do is reach out to one of our PayFax partners and say, hey, can you help these guys out? And what I would like to do is, maybe bring them to brand A over here or brand B.
Like CC Bill or Epic or somebody like that.
Right. I mean, I have a great relationship with all those people. And I would say, yes, 100% reach out to these guys. They can help you out. And then once you understand, then maybe what we can do is migrate them over from a PayFax, because let's face it, when they're at a PayFax, they're going to be paying premium rates. We know that
by PayFax, you mean third party, right?
A third party, exactly.
Okay.
So let's say
I never heard that term.
Yeah. So hypothetically, let's say, we're able to get someone, at a lower risk, let's just say 5%, just for shits and giggles. Okay. A PayFax, you're going to probably pay 10 to 12%. So it is, or more. I mean, back when I was there, it was 15. So, it's definitely can be more that. So, what we would do is say, hey, invest your time there. Make sure this isn't a hobby, but this is going to be, a long-term play for you. And once you understand, let's talk again, and we'll be more than happy to reduce your rates, get you a mid, because I think that's going to help them out. And, again, having, we have strategic partners with several PayFacs, then, leverage their technology and support. And that way it's going to be a better experience.
Right. And just, again, to translate, I know what a MID is. It's a direct merchant account. So for those who are fairly new in the industry, you need to know that. You've got third party like CC Bill and Epic, and you've got direct merchant accounts like Rob's company, Humboldt, and others. By the way, how important with the AI is moderation? I would imagine pretty important.
Oh, incredible. I mean, it's nonstop in regards to that. And it's something so new that the banks really don't understand it. And in between us, I wouldn't be surprised if you see a halt in some regards to AI for the adult aspects until they have a better understanding. But I mean, that's just my opinion.
I hope not. A lot of people would be hurt by that.
Absolutely. But, let's face it, Visa, MasterCard are king of the hill. So if they decide that it's, and the banks don't feel comfortable, ultimately it's the banks deciding on the risk, and Visa, MasterCard putting the regulations in. And, people that know me are probably going to laugh. It's going to, really should be, I guess I would say, a crawl phase, crawl, walk, run. This is a crawl phase, and anyone that wants to start running on that, it's going to be suicide in, the AI, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, if MasterCard and Visa isn't a solution anymore, then they're probably going to have to use crypto, which some already have. So it is what it is. What payment methods does Corepay accept, and does Corepay offer payout solutions?
In general, we offer all the major credit cards. Visa, MasterCard, American Express, Discover. Obviously, American Express doesn't do anything in the 5967. Plus, we also do APMs. And for your listeners, that's alternative payment methods, such as the buy now, pay later aspects. And, that's, kind of what we do.
How about crypto?
Crypto right now, we do not have a solution with as of today. We do also offer Google, Apple Pay, and Samsung Pay for the verticals that is allowed. But again, like I said, 5967 or adult, American Express, Google, Apple Pay, Samsung Pay, that's against the acceptable list or use of their policies of the provider. So they're not supported on the adult. But, let's say that you have a novelty shop, then, that's stuff that we could definitely do. And then in regards to payout solutions, Corepay, we have direct integrated partners that we can assist with this solution. So people that are very close to us that we can go ahead and make the introduction, and they're integrated with our systems, and that can help in regards to the payout solutions.
Okay. Which platforms, CRMs, and gateways does Corepay integrate with?
Okay. In regards to CRMs, gateways, we're agnostic. So that's great. That's what, one of the things that you do want to hear. With that said, as I've said a few times during the podcast, if our clients have a gateway of choice, we're happy to integrate it. But if not, we're more than happy to go ahead and get them set up with our own, gateway NetValve. The cool thing is our gateway NetValve, it integrates with all the acquiring partners, processors, and includes a host of payment functionalities. So that's fantastic. An advantage, to bundle with Corepay and NetValve, it's our ecosystem. We'll have you covered type of deal versus, plugging into this one and, doing for that one. It's one thing. So it's a little bit easier for streamlined efficiency.
Awesome. What's going on, and you just made me aware of this, with the Visa and the VIRP, or the Visa Integrity Risk Program? Maybe you can give us a summary because it sounds pretty important.
It is. And, for the listeners, the Visa Integrity Risk Program, you'll also hear it as a VIRP. Visa uses this to kind of detect and kind of really prevent illegal activity from entering the Visa payment system. And, VIRP kind of categorizes high-risk merchants based on a criteria like transaction patterns, chargeback rates, the type of business that you use. High-risk merchants, also must comply with VIRP to avoid increased fees that the bank will go ahead and pass through. And unfortunately, potential account termination. I mean, in summary, these changes really intensify the scrutiny on the bad actors. And that's not a bad thing. We really don't want the bad actors playing in our space.
Well, it hurts everybody.
Absolutely. I mean, let's face it, in the high risk space, it's a challenge as it is. So, this is really going to really push the bad actors out. Also, VIRP has significantly tightened regulations in both the United States and also in Europe. And with that, if you're in the adult or, some of the higher risk industries, the high risk registration fees increased the beginning of this year from $500 to $950.
Ouch.
Yeah, but that money doesn't go to us. That goes directly to Visa. That's part of playing in their game. I mean, what was it? Mel Brooks, it's good to be the king.
I love that.
For MasterCard and Visa, it's good to be the king. So, these are fees that, you need to pay. So hypothetically, if you're a brand new company that's getting into the adult space, you have to be registered high risk and you have to pay that fee of $950 towards Visa.
Okay. Let's talk about VAMP, or the Visa Acquiring Monitoring Program. Those are long ones. Again, give us some details and why that's important for adult merchants.
Okay, so this is something new. It hasn't gone in effect in the United States yet. This actually goes in effect, I believe it rolls out of all days, April 1st of 2025.
Goody.
So it's going to
April
be
Fool's Day. Love it.
Yeah, exactly. So VAMP has multiple thresholds that merchants and acquirers must meet to avoid being enrolled into this program. VAMP is going to be designed to monitor acquirers and also the agents who exceed acceptable dispute and fraud thresholds. Non-compliance in this is not good. I mean, it can result in penalties, fees, and then obviously even closures of merchant accounts. Essentially, for mitigating the risk that's associated with high chargeback ratios, assuring that the payment system remains secure and efficient. It's also, in a nutshell, it's going to be eliminating the chargeback monitoring programs a lot because they're really going to be focusing, and this is going to be replacing more like a more robust customer focused on fraud. And let's face it. Fraud can range from like fake businesses selling counterfeit goods, stolen credit cards, account takeovers. So the bottom line is, I mean, merchants really need to ask the questions to their agents or their banks of what type of businesses do you accept? And this kind of goes back, Bruce, when you ask me which ones do I kind of avoid. We avoid the Nutras and gadgets because that's going to be part of the playing field. It's no longer just your business. It's going to be the entire of everything. So if you're at a bank or working with an agent that does all this shady stuff or questionable, verticals, this really could impact a clean, healthy merchant that might just have a porn site or adult site up. So, ask the questions. And, it's going to be to be brutally honest, it's going to be, something that's new to us as everyone else, because again, this is going to be something that, rolls out on April 1st.
Okay. What do fees typically look like for an adult merchant at Corepay?
It really depends on a few things, and I'm not going to, give you a political answer. So I will, a politician's, and avoid the question. I feel that we're very competitive and I'm going to use the adults, for example. We're very competitive in the adult brands. It's going to come down to a couple of things. Do you have previous process in history? What's your volume? How long have you been in business? Currently, how's your chargeback ratios? So if you have a business that's, killing it, yeah, we probably can, match or, be lower than whoever you're currently with. The 5, 9, 6, 7 and other high risk verticals, they're more expensive than, a pizza place or a coffee shop because the banks push the fees to us. It's more expensive, bottom line, because of all the additional fees that you don't see when you just have straight interchange for a coffee shop. So to your listeners, I mean, in a range, I think we already said like pay faxes can run, 10 to 15%. I think if you're looking, depending on your volume, you might be, on the high end of maybe 6 or 7. And all the way down to maybe 3, depending on your, the business and, the volume, clean history. The cool thing is let's say that, Bruce, you started up a site. We get you on, let's say it's, 5%, just hypothetically. We're more than happy to review that site maybe in 90 or 120 days or 6 months. And if you're, if things are good, it's clean volume. We'll be happy to try to reduce the fees because then we have a case with the bank. But what we can't do is out of the gate, someone that's processing $10,000, never been in the industry, doesn't have any history, you're going to be more expensive. I mean, it is what it is.
Sure. And that's why sometimes it's better to start out with third party because then you're going to get all the benefits that they give you with the customer service and everything else. And that'll get them ready and help them get their volume up so they can go to a direct merchant account like Corepay.
Absolutely, 100%.
I always tell people, new sites, don't get a direct merchant account. Go to a third party, and then we'll build your volume up and go from there. That's what I tell people with my consulting firm.
No, that's great. Unless you have, if you're going to hire experts that have been in the industry, okay, now you're basically no longer a startup. You have the history. But if not, 100%, the pay faxes will definitely benefit you.
Okay. Does Corepay have any application or setup fees? Now, you talked about obviously MasterCard and Visa, but what about you guys?
Yeah, there's really, there's no hidden fees with us. It is what it is, and it's basically going to be the rates and stuff. Now, obviously, if you come in and you're like, hey, I want these additional services, maybe through NetValve, I'll go through CB Alert, you're going to pay those anyways. It's not like, these are hidden fees or, things that we're just pulling out. But no application fees, nothing like that.
Okay. So, Rob, what's your take on the recent FTC rules on recurring payments, and how will Corepay deal with this to help adult merchants?
To us, I think this is another positive item to kind of weed out the bad actors. Let's face it, avoid the subscription traps. I think back to so many people, not knowing that they're, what do you mean? I thought I just signed up one time and now I'm getting, billed, for 6 months. And let's face it, not everyone checks their credit cards. So that's kind of a bad thing when you go back and you find out that you're losing, be it $39.99 or $399. Ultimately, I think this will increase customer satisfaction with larger brands who are not trying to keep their customers against their will. I always scratch my head when people are like, back in the wild, wild west earlier, before a lot of this, where the fonts were, -3 and you couldn't see everything. I mean, obviously, who wants to really make a quick money dash? I'd rather have a customer for life than a customer for 3 months.
And you know what's great about that is that I think the people in our industry now, as opposed to the people who were in our industry before. I mean, I'm reading, I posted this article on XBiz, and I'm looking at the responses, and I expected to get a lot of negative. And really, it's almost all positive. The people in our industry now are doing things the right way.
Yes, because I think the jokers that were in it during the wild, wild west are either out of it, out of business,
or dead,
or maybe dead, or maybe they have conformed. Maybe they understood that I can't do this. I mean, one of the things that we continue to do, through our website, social medias, whenever I'm out talking, any conventions, whatever it might be. I mean, we're always there to educate merchants on updating their terms and their conditions. I mean, that's what our risk and compliance team does. We want to make sure that the websites, for anyone offering subscriptions, stay compliant. That's the key. And also worth pointing out, this has already kind of been a requirement for many European countries for several years. So it's not new to us for Corepay because we're a global company. So again, we embrace it. And if your listeners are saying, okay, I still don't get this. Well, bottom line, what does this mean? It means that now you're going to have like a little click button to cancel on the website. Bottom line, that's what it is.
It's got to be obvious to find that, and it can't be hidden. And it's got to be, they said it needs to be as easy to cancel as it was to sign up.
Exactly. And as you and I both know, a lot of places that was not the key.
Don't we know? How do you think this affects cross sales, by the way?
Well, with merchant accounts, you can't do that.
They do.
I'm just saying because you can't do that. Pay faxes, you can do that because the pay faxes have agreements. So on the merchant sides, it's not going to have any effect because legally they can't do that.
Oh, okay. Okay. So with direct merchant accounts, that's just a complete no-no.
Exactly.
Interesting. I wasn't aware of that. And you can with third party.
Yes, because the difference is, let's say that you own a business and I own a business. The relationship was with my business, not your business type of deal. So it's not compliant to our merchant account because I don't work for you. You might be selling a good that's not in compliance. So in theory, you can't do it with merchant accounts. That's why, PayFax you can because they have agreements that allow them to do that.
Sounds good. Rob, I would like to thank you for being our guest today on Adult Site Broker Talk, and I hope we get a chance to do this again soon.
Hey, I really appreciate it. And, like I said, Bruce, always love chatting with you at these conferences. Hopefully we'll see each other in Los Angeles at the beginning of the year for XBiz. And, anytime, you want me or anyone from the Corepay team would love to be back and address any questions, that you have or your listeners have. Thank you again.
We'll have you back on for sure. My broker tip today is part 5 of what to do to make your site more valuable for when you decide to sell it later. Last week, we talked about new ways to monetize your site. Next, eliminate unneeded expenses. Constantly make sure you're not spending money you don't need to. Make sure there isn't duplication in your staffing. From time to time, check services you pay for like hosting and see if there are better and less expensive options. Take it from me, I've done this and saved a bunch, plus got higher quality hosting in the process. Again, ask us for recommendations. Along with this, Make your profit and loss statement show more profit. Increasing sales and reducing expenses obviously does just that. Make sure your P&L statement accurately reflects your company's actual costs, not a bunch of personal expenses you put in. This will cost you money when you sell. It may help you with the tax man to put that stuff on your tax return, but it hurts you if you show that stuff on your profit and loss statement when you sell. Remember, every dollar in profit increases the value of your website as much as 3 to 4 times. This is why you need a good, experienced broker to help lead you through the process. We've gotten people thousands of dollars more on their sale just by adjusting the P&L statement to reflect actual business expenses as opposed to a bunch of BS. We'll talk about this subject more next week. And next week, we'll be speaking with Robert Warren of Robert Warren SEO. And that's it for this week's Adult Side Broker Talk. I'd once again like to thank my guest, Rob Bast of Corepay. Talk to you again next week on Adult Side Broker Talk. I'm Bruce Friedman.